All right, this is part 3 of our knife safety series. I've talked to you about handling of knives in the first video, passing back and forth communicating. The second video about practicing with the practice knives. Our board being set up, now we're ready for the real deal. So either a 10-inch chef's knife, okay, or 8-inch chef's knife, whichever one you are given, okay. We're going to be working on cutting up some celery. Now this is going to be rinsed for you to make things go quickly. It's dripping with a little bit of water. Something also to be aware of is where we can get in trouble is things that can roll on us. So always want something to be flat. We'll have a whole separate lesson about cutting a round onion when the time comes. But we're going to go ahead and have you guys apply that claw, okay, of cutting celery into thin slices that are hopefully consistent in size so they cook evenly. And what I mean by that is if you've got a thin piece like this and a wide piece like that in the pan together, when this is done, that is raw. When that is done, that's burned. Okay? Now, as you guys see me taking stuff off the blade, be extremely careful, okay, about food that's stuck to your blade and how you get it off. You have food that's stuck to your blade, be aware of where the blade is, and be careful as you may draw that off, okay? The other thing, now that we have a real knife to show you, is that when we have to move stuff around, say I'm gonna move this pile, I'm gonna turn my knife over and drag it this way. Okay, so these knives are extremely sharp, as we said. You're gonna get to hear this one time on video, and if you hear it ever, what you're about to hear in class, you're gonna probably hear some yelling from Miss Novello right after that noise is heard. It doesn't matter where you're in the room, I'll catch you. This is the sound of properly moving food. This is the sound of dragging your blade to move your food, and you're gonna dull the knife. And a dull knife is not so safe, so I'm not going to be happy with you making knives dull that could put someone else at risk. All right, so I'm going to want to see some slices like this, okay? We call those like 1/8 of an inch, really, really thin. Once you get down to the width of about your hand, then we can move those over, and I want you to look to make some dice. And for the dice, okay, this is about 3.5, 4 inches long. I can use the edge of the blade, but I still got my hands on the fingers that as the claw. I can cut this, okay, lengthwise, 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 to little matchsticks. And then remember this last part. Do not try to cut that last part with your fingers there. If you did try to cut it, you can put the blade there and your hand on top to push down. Okay? And once you make the matchsticks, look in the blade, you could cut these into dice. When you get to the end, careful, take them off the blade. These little pieces, let them go. Do not sit and try to cut those with the tip. Now here's the deal. You got 2 sticks of celery, one at a time. I would rather you take your time of cutting something that has minimal cuts that are done correctly and safe, as opposed to you cutting something all haphazard, wrong, okay, or doing something that gets you injured or hurt, okay, or dragging the blade, doing stuff wrong. So don't feel like this is a race, okay? Cannot emphasize that enough. Do not feel pressured to try to keep up with anyone else in class. okay? Because the more that you use the knife and get comfortable with it, you'll actually find the quicker things can go. Now, once I've checked out some of your cuts, then we might get to just chopping this. And when we're chopping rough, my hand will be on top, tip is down like a rocking motion. If I have to move things around, use your blade. If you use your hand, make sure it doesn't get in there. Okay, but I'm going to want to see those uniform slices, those dices, and some chop. And when this is done, I'll be collecting all the celery. I'm going to boil it up, turn it into vegetable broth. Okay? Leave your knife at the side. I'm ready for me to check you out. Slices, dices, and chop. The end.